Because the game started as a Scratch project, if you haven't watched my devlog 0, I had a very clear starting list of features. A player that can move, shoot, and enemies that cross the screen. And to make full use of Unity, I wanted a reusable health system and script animation. No Unity animator. The Unity animator has caused me problems in the past. After a few weeks of work, I had a base. Basically, a better version of the Scratch project built inside the Unity engine. The game is going to need multiple weapon types, shotguns, laser blasts, a melee spell, upgrades, roguelike progression upgrades like the cards and rounds or in any other of the billion roguelikes. I don't want upgrades that just make you more powerful, but that transform the way you actually play and interact with the game. Spells, there are going to be alternate abilities like walls, traps, and a dash and or teleport ability. New enemies, like the Skull, Splitterbug,
Chungus Bug,
Ghost, Blastbug, Wizard.
to the computer!
I already had a design for the Goblin, so I just improved on it. I made the sprites less stiff and changed the colors. The first enemy was just pulled over from the Scratch project. He moves straight across the screen and does a bit of damage, but the way he fell off the screen was kinda lifeless and stiff, so I switched to Unity's rigid body physics. So I could have a knockback and this little pop-up when they die. The Chungus Bug is basically the same thing, except more extreme. More health, more damage, more XP, all that good stuff. He does move a little bit slower. Next, I made this little guy. I call him Splitterbug. Once you kill him, he splits into 2 smaller baby enemies. Then, you get overwhelmed and die. Now that I have 3 enemies, I can create the spawning system. I use a coin-based system where the spawn manager will use coins to spawn enemies. Stronger enemies cost more coins. This way I can give the manager more coins over time, and the game will have a more dynamic difficulty curve. Thank you that one Unity dev for the video. Then it's time to deal with the environment design. This is the sketch that would define the design of the game environment. A dark muted background to help the enemies and characters stand out, and big scrolling pillars to imply movement. It came back to haunt me later, but not for the reason you might think. I did the art for the main pillar, a square stone tile set, 2 background props, and some clouds. This was the version 1 of environment art, and I'm still using most of it today. But after a little bit of testing, I realized the game art was too large, like way too large. I was gonna need to shrink these guys by 50%. I made a new pillar, way larger this time, and used this scrolling trick to make it look like you were moving through space. This is one of my favorite tricks that I've used in this game. Then there comes the problem of UI. In a game like this, how do I keep the UI out of the way? I need the screen to be as visible as possible. My first thought was to put it on the left side of the screen, where it won't be blocking the enemies, but it was clunky and too large. So I took some inspiration from ARPGs and slapped it on the bottom with a kind of symmetrical look. When an enemy does get too low on the screen, I apply a slight force, pushing them more onto view. Now at this point, I have a pretty good game loop, but it's still missing one important piece that I will tackle next time: the upgrades.